Good morning. Today I woke up 6 o'clock. Why? I wanted to go somewhere on a hike, perhaps somewhere in those mountains there. But instead, something happened and I couldn't leave the house. I was procrastinating. I was afraid. And I know when this happens, it means that self-discovery journey awaits. I will take this moment with me forever. Absolutely no idea where this journey today will lead me, but I am trusting the process and trusting the guidance of my intuition, the lifestyle, and the wisdom of the place. Travel-wise, spiritually wise. It's actually almost afternoon. And here is my village. Isn't it nice? So spacious, so quiet. I've lived in a city for like so many years, like for a decade. Even now, after like we moved to Florida, it was a city, and same with California. Like you cannot escape city noise, cars, humans. But here it is really, really quiet, and I'm just enjoying that for now. I woke up 6 o'clock in the morning thinking that it's going to be such an active, amazing day. I'm going to be hiking, doing something fun, but it didn't happen. I just felt trapped. I felt that my body's tired, and all of the plans that I made for myself, they're not really coming from like really this inner desire. But I also didn't want to be at home, but for some reason nothing, there were no like an alternative, so I just decided to stay home until I feel that I want to go somewhere really from like this intuitive guidance and knowledge, just because I don't want to push it. That's how people live, and that's how I lived back in a city where I worked at a job that I hated, and when I had to do stuff, but didn't want to. Now I don't want to do that. So I waited, and now I feel like, and actually the motivation is not even like climbing anything. Somehow I'm still exhausting, and I know when this happens is that I'm processing something deep inside, and I know that I think it is related to the emotional separation that I spoke about 2 days ago, I think, and it is still going on within, and I think this is the reason why I shared about it, is that it was going on within me. This is why I shared it. So it's interesting that there are so many layers in that, and like no matter how many times you go through this emotional separation, it's always something new, like new layers and other layers, and because we are made of so many like layers of things, of constellations, of some beliefs, and I'm powering through some of them, and at this moment I'm not exactly like 100% sure. I feel like maybe they're related to relationship, but I think it's still uncovering. And the motivation for today, for my drive, is actually I want to go to the store, and they're not so close in here. It's a 15-minute drive to the Woodland that I want to go, because I want poke. And then there is I think it's called Waimea Falls, that I got interested in. I was looking for something small and easy for today, so we'll see what it is. I am up to like a small hike, like a easy to mild adventures, because I think that 2 more hikes are awaiting me this week, and I want to take it easy, be gentle with my body. and I have things that I want to talk about. I think they're still cooking within me. So that's it for now. I'll come back when I'm gonna see something interesting, I guess. Now that I'm driving, and it's interesting how every time I'm in movement, no matter if I'm walking or driving, I always get some wisdom coming through. And I was feeling really sad the last 2 days and a little bit unmotivated to do things, the things that I like, climbing, hiking. I was really unsure until actually this very moment, and I wanted to share about it. So when we are like powering through limitations, limiting beliefs, constellations, and changing our life, changing our like patterns, our behavioral patterns, emotional patterns, when we are changing our life, the way how we act, the way how we live, usually this means like the more you are yourself, the more you separate from your ancestry line, from your parents. We are within us, we have our parents, our ancestry. And you know, scientists, oh my god, look at this, it's freaking beautiful in here. Wow. I had to pause just because it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know the place where we're staying at, there are no mountains, nothing. I mean, you can see them from the far, but not this close. And this is like a 10-minute drive. This is really cute. I have to come back here. But what was I gonna say? See how my voice, and I feel like I got a little bit sick. And usually I know that this happens when I'm in the edge, and my body is as well. Maybe tired, but also I noticed that this happens when there's a lot of going on within. Sometimes body needs time to work through some situations. Sometimes they go out as just like I'm yawning right now. Like that's how our body is working through things. You want to sleep, you want to yawn, you want to cry, you feel sad. But usually this is the sign, and usually in the moment it's hard to remember this, but usually it's a sign that you are saying goodbye to something, you're releasing something, you're letting go of something. So imagine that you lived in limitation your whole life. Like you wanted to show up more, you were afraid. You wanted to be like visible, bright, shiny, do like maybe a hair you always wanted, to like go travel, like something you always wanted, but consciously or unconsciously you were afraid of it, or there was some limitation, like you could not do it, you wanted it so much, but it didn't happen for you. And usually you think that maybe it's like by the choice, just it just didn't happen, like no reason at all. But actually it didn't happen because something didn't let you go that way. And usually a lot of times it has to do with us reaching those limitations within our heads, perhaps within our wait, I'm gonna switch the camera. So it may happen that there are limitations within our mind. That's why it's called like this mindset work. You think that like I consciously decide not to go and follow my dreams, just that I don't want to right now, like maybe I don't have time. But actually the reason why it's hard for you to even like not even to go that way, but even like look that way, it's because something is not letting you. Wait, it's a little hot in here. So something is not letting you follow what you want. You think that it's consciously, most of the time it's subconsciously. Like, I always wanted to do a hair like that, but it's been 3 years and I always wanted to try, but I was like, yeah, but what if, and then you get stuck in like all the overthinking. Then you always wanted to do like show up on the internet, but you're like, but you know, and something is not letting you to do this. But what usually fuels those limiting beliefs, ideas, and like this desire of not actually doing it, not the desire, but just the reality that you're not doing it. You want something, you don't perceive it. So usually it's all within the mindset, and usually it's hard to see that because it is like within you and it's not consciously. So perhaps, let's say, like, I don't know, a money situation, relationship. For example, you were born in a family when there were horrible relationship in like between your parents, and perhaps like your mom never accomplished her dreams, or maybe your dad, and then there were like the money problem. So tell me now, do you think it's going to be an extremely easy for you to just grow up, become rich, successful, happy in relationship, and what else did I say? Like, no. You want to say yes, but it's not necessarily, because it's like it's to believe that the way how our ancestry lived, our family, kids usually go beyond by like 10 or like 15% on the average. So let's say compare your life to the life of your parents. Maybe you advanced in something, but then if you analyze closer, you will be shocked to see that, oh my gosh, my life, the life of my parents, like, I'm really copying the way they lived, but unconsciously, because I never wanted to do that. But this is how it works, especially if the emotional separation never happened. We want to stay within our family line. We want to stay there with them. We want to, the reason why people stay that way, they don't know that, they don't feel it, of course, but the reason why they stay there, it's because usually, and it was never promoted before, but if you don't receive enough of love and nourishment from your parents, then you want to maybe get that as an adult. You're always creating that, so you naturally trying to stay close to your parents, and unconsciously by doing that, you repeat their destiny, you repeat like their mistakes, you live their lives. Because believe me, like, when I've done so much work, but when I analyzed closely, like even last week, I was like, I didn't notice that I speak the way how my mom always spoke to everybody. I never noticed that. I always thought that I have nothing like in common with that woman. Just because she had things I wanted to avoid. But what I found is that, like, I am her replica. How did that happen? I always wanted to not be that. It's how those patterns work, and this is why you need to. I found that the work with ancestry, like with emotional separation, with parents, this nourishment of your inner child, just so you learn to nourish yourself, so you don't crave that from them. Then it's easier for you to separate from your parents, and slowly, day by day, create your own life. But that means separating. And like, believe me, for a person who's like over 30, it feels crazy, because you think that you are separated from your parents. Like, I don't live with my parents in the same country for over a decade, just so you understand. like sponsor my own life financially, emotionally. There are no much involvement at all. But those programs that we acquire from them, they go like, because we are born like those empty like empty A4, you know, format, like pages, like completely empty and clean. And so we need to navigate a life like, mom, dad, what is the world? What is it? How do I live? Okay, and they start writing there. They say, so the world is a dangerous place, and you better never follow what you want, and it's better to stick with a job, blah, 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 blah. And then all men are pigs, or all women are idiots. And then you hear all this messages, and then they are being like embedded in you. And then if you analyze closely, and that takes time and effort, you will see that, oops, you can be either living, let's say, in relationship or in life situation, replicating your life as a kid or a teenager. Let's say you had a very, like, I don't know, toxic or abusive or like what do I want to say? Okay, a toxic or abusive like parent. Now you may be living with a toxic or abusive partner. Or you saw that your parents, they never found a way to self-express themselves and find like the meaningful career, something fulfilling, the purpose. And now you look at yourself, you're in exactly the same situation. So I found that somehow we are faced with the same choices our parents were, and sometimes we pass, sometimes we don't. So for example, like, woman gave birth out of the marriage like very early, and didn't know how to love herself, and fell for a toxic relationship. And then her daughter would face exactly the same lesson. Will she pass or will she not? It depends on the daughter now. It's but those are, I don't know how it works, but somehow we are getting these programs from our parents, and that will define how we live. There, of course, there are a will of like our willpower and choices, but that gravity towards the trauma, towards how they lived, is pretty strong, and that's in our DNA. And then maybe if you don't understand what I'm talking about, then read scientific research, because the researchers, they even did it on mice. Even if mice have that, we are humans. We have so much more. Our brains are more, like, so much more advanced. I mean, I hope so, at least. So they did that on mice to represent that DNA. It's not only some like stupid blood thing that we don't know how to relate to our life, but it's actually behavior. You understand? The way how I talk right now, the way what I do, that really determines my life, is in DNA as well. So what they found is that they separated a mice, like a female mice, from all of her peers, crowd of the other mice, to make sure that none of the mice knew the trick, and she didn't know it. They separated her for a long time, and then they spent a lot of time and effort to teach her specific skill. Then they are how do you say that? So basically, when she gave birth to her baby mice, they know the trick. They knew the trick. See, mom mice gave the behavioral pattern to her kids, to her babies, without talking to them, without nothing. They were born with that skill, because after the birth, I think they separated her from them as well, because usually by doing specific behavior, mice can replicated. I think they separated her from babies because the babies knew how to do that, and that's really showed them that, you see, it's in DNA, behavior. So analyze your parents, sit down, take the pen, write down everything you don't like about your mom, write down everything you don't like about your dad, and everything you like about them, and then sit down and deeply analyze yourself. I know it's not very maybe not very much fun for people. It is fun for me, because by learning about myself, by studying myself, it's a self-discovery. That's how I can make sure that I live differently, because I constantly still after so many years, I constantly find things I want to break through from. I don't know how to put my hair, it's so salty after the ocean. I still find things that I'm like shocked that I do that after not seeing like my mom on a constant basis, maybe once in 3 years for over a decade, over than that, not talking and not communicating much because of specific reasons, and always trying to change and be a different person. I still find things that I do on a daily basis just like her. Even though I don't want to, I still do it. And that determines the outcome. Let's say it was an example of how I talk to my partner in a very toxic way. And you see, it's not that I do that and it just changes nothing. No, I do that and it really defines then how my relationship goes. And I have a big chance, if she spoke to people like that and, for example, they didn't want to continue a relationship with her, then I have the tendency to, for an exactly the same fate like her, because it's a behavior, it's not a destiny, it's not God that is punishing you or me. We are doing specific things. That's why, like, let's say we're not successful in relationship or something with finances or something like that. So there are stories that were passed on even through the DNA from our parents to us that define us every day. They define who we are. They define us. So it's important. I think I've spoken now, and I think now I realize why I felt sad all those 2 days, because I finally said no to some of the things I want to change. And that's why I watched the Turning Red twice. I love that cartoon, and I always cry when I watch it, and it always reminds me of that how the ancestry, the representation of our ancestry and our like parents, how they trying to keep us safe within the circle of their life, which is not necessarily it's exciting and incredible for us, for example, and how in the end that girl still decided to be herself, and how it was so much effort to do that. But in the end, there was the scene, it was so freaking amazing when she and her mom got an emotional separation. When her mom said, "Come with me, please, be like me, be like us." Say no to yourself, say no to those things. Don't be like that, it's dangerous. And she said, "No, I want to be me, I'm changing, and if I figure out who I am, I want to be me." And that's emotional separation. When you don't have that emotional separation, most likely you live a life in some angle, some ways of replicating the life of your significant adult, mom, dad, grandma, or somebody, like whoever really put a lot of love, a lot of effort into your bringing. Think about that. And it's gonna take an effort, and it's gonna take an action every day to do something that really makes you different, that really changes that. So let's say I remember those 2 days ago, I wanted to say something out of the just a pattern, just a habit, and I said no. And that's how day by day, you do that emotional separation. What's also important, I think, if you do that, if you're succeeding or if you're not succeeding, it's good to have extra support. And I have this amazing technique with emotional, with metaphorical cards, where I can do, we can talk to your ancestry line, get an approval of something or get a support from something, because sometimes you can drain all your energy onto kind of like fighting them, like it happened to me in the past. I thought I had to fight somebody in order to be myself, so I would drain all my energy on all of the people all around, even though like some of my some family members that they not even alive anymore. But I remember how they taught me and how they put a lot of like these teachings into being a certain way, and how I feel like how I need to fight through that. But actually, there's another way. And if you see that you are replicating the life of one of your, in some angles of your significant adults or parents, definitely reach out and we can do that session with you. I did it. I did it as the whole like course for 6 months. I worked with a constellation coach or therapist she was. So we worked that. I really realized how it's important to redirect this energy from fighting your ancestry. Your ancestry is who you are, pretty much. It's how you were developed, how you were raised emotionally, mentally, even in your DNA. But you want to be different. You want something different. You want a different life. You need separation from them, emotional separation. Besides, you also need their support. You need the approval for them to set you off on that journey. And I don't know how you like it or not when I say stuff like that, but believe it or not, they live within you. They live in you. They live in me. It's true. It's true. You can laugh. You can sing it. But it's true. I don't know how, on what level you can believe that, but they do live within us. Especially in those patterns, especially in those stories that define who we really are. So I think it was important to say today. And I immediately feel better, because I think I found what it is that was bothering me for the last 2 days. I felt a lot of sadness. Yeah. I felt sadness, but I think is that it's a new layer that I'm powering through and becoming. I really want to cry right now. And becoming like more of who I am, more of my authentic self, by making a choice, making an action into the direction that I need, into my authentic self path. Not by this like what I know, what is comfortable, what I was taught, what my parents did, how it's normal. Especially if they're normal to you, something like you always say that's normal, that's normal way to do it. Work with that normal. Write down what is normal. How is it normal to live? What is normal in any realms of the life? And then see, who did you get it from? Your mom, your dad, grandmama, or your aunt or your uncle, or somebody normal. It's somebody else's box that like you were put into. Maybe as a kid, maybe as a teenager, maybe as a grown person. But usually it happens as when we are kids. So work with that. They're not normal. There's just teachings from those people. And then if you still want to live the same way, that's your choice. But I don't want to live the way how my parents lived, how my ancestry lived, with all respect to them. Now I learned to respect them, and now I learned that they were the foundation for me. I learned to respect them, I learned to love them, I learned to accept them, and I learned to not to change them. But I also understood, and I also knew how to take my own action into my authentic self life, because I want to be myself. let's pause there. I'm really hungry. See you later.